Ow. Now, we're going to have to get these levels right. I don't know exactly how I don't know how loud the mic is versus the synth, or how good or bad the quality is. So you should be able to hear my voice and the sound of the synth line in at the same time. If you can't, or anyone could just tell me what the levels are like. Ideally, you want to hear my voice pretty good. I think my voice is probably too loud. Turn that up. I think this is probably just dual mono as well, this interface. So yeah, stereo effects are gonna sound like ass on this one. Get the stand. Huh? I was alive? Well, I'll have you know that I'm actually dead, and that the pop-up was full of shit. Does it? Yeah, I've never used this thing before. The audio interface. Oh yeah, let me just... I'm considering just down-tuning the whole instrument to like 430, just so that when I play familiar melodies, it's off-tune enough that YouTube doesn't immediately go, fuck you, copyright strike, because you played a melody. You played a melody that someone else played before you and recorded, for Christ's sake. But then, yeah. I wonder if that's sensitive enough. I have no idea. Either it's gonna hit me with one, or it won't. Then again, I'm not profiting from these, so fuck it. Let me turn it back to 440. It's like I'm losing anything. Let's see. Figure I'll wait till more people show in. I love that. Wonder what the phaser would sound like in mono. It sounds like that. Why is this so shaky? Oh my god. Where is that sound? Oh yeah, this is gonna be weird because a lot of these sounds have like stereo effects on them, which in mono is gonna sound like piss. Oh, that's not too bad. and I seen it, and I liked it enough to get the fucking t-shirt, so don't feel too bad. Don't feel too bad, boppers. Ooh, man, I love that. So, I figure what I'll do is I'm going to give... Ideally, I want to teach people enough. Hey, man, what's going on? I want to try to teach synthesis because I've gotten what realistically probably dozens of emails over the years. What feel like hundreds to me. And people have been asking. They want to know how I program these fucking things. These fucking things! And I want to help them. But the problem is, what I think most people, most synth instructor like YouTubers will do is they'll use one synth, and or they'll pick a synth that they think everyone has access to, and like the Mini-Log or something from Behringer or Korg, and they'll go over it like function by function. And that's cool, like, if you want to learn that instrument specifically. But there's not a lot of general synthesis videos on YouTube. And I think it's because it's a pretty hard code to crack. Because you got to be able to explain synthesis to people in a way that they could follow along, regardless of what instrument, synthesizer they're on, regardless of what synthesizer I'm on. And I think the Sledge would be pretty good for that, because it has, it's got the vast majority of what you'd expect to find on most synthesizers. Give or take a few functions. But I feel like if I could teach you guys the things I want to teach you, you'll be able to go into any synthesizer, like Subtractive Synth, and you'll get it pretty quick. Because they are like that. I mean, when you get the basic functionality of one, you'll get all of them. There's a lot. I mean, all synthesizers. I mean, the ARP Odyssey, the Korg Mini-Log, the Studio Logic Sledge, they all have 2 oscillators. This one has 3. Some LFO sources to modulate the pitch and the filter. They have a filter. Some have more than one. They all have 2 envelope generators. These are, essential ingredients. So it's not like you're going to find a synthesizer and be like, oh shit, I can't follow along with them because it only has, 1 envelope generator. Listen, if you do find a synth that has 1 envelope generator, you're kind of shit out of luck there. I don't know how many synths just have that. I mean, you gotta at least have one each. You know what I mean? You gotta have an envelope generator for the fucking what do you call it? The filter, and an envelope generator for the amplifier. Would you prefer face? I don't think it's gonna. I don't know. But anyway, so ideally, I want to teach people how to do something that I don't see a lot of other YouTubers covering as far as this stuff is concerned, and that's not how to program the synths. It's not how to all right, what do you guys think? Would you rather have my face or the panel for this? I mean, you're probably not going to miss much down here, but it's up to you. Well, you're the only one saying it, Alice, so I guess I'll... panel. Yeah. Yeah, this is supposed to be a bit more educational, and you're not going to learn much from my fucking face. So for now, I'm going to keep it up panel, but I'll probably got to go for an hour with just synth tutorial, and then we'll have like a chill, light up a stogie and hang out. But anyway, so I digress. What I want to do is teach people how to listen. And that's kind of I don't see anyone else doing that, because you could teach somebody, show them in practice how to get a certain sound they're looking for, but they're not going to know how to do that on any other synthesizer. They're not going to get why the functions do what they do, or why. They just know I have to move everything in this position, and then it makes the sound I want it to make. So you could, it's like, the whole teach a man to fish analogy. I want to give people maybe a little bit of background on how I kind of learned this stuff, because with playing piano, I got arrogant because I just play by ear, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it all myself. So I kind of figured I'd do the same thing with synthesizers. I cut my teeth on a Native Instruments Pro 53, eons ago, the VST, and that was what I really learned. And I used a giant Casio like WK 3700 like keyboard, and I had to hold it on my lap. It plugged in with an actual MIDI cable. So, but I learned just by moving the knobs and listening to its effect of the sound. But again, you could do that, but it might benefit you to know why moving the knob does what it does. So before we get to any of that, I want to teach people how to listen, though, because the first sound that I can remember hearing that I thought, oh my God, I want to make that, I want to have that, was Vox Humana, the Gary Newman albums, the Polymoog, obviously. And that's a pretty high watermark sound to try to get, especially when you're new to synthesizers, because it's a really nuanced sound. It's one of those sounds that it sounds like it should be really simple to make, but the details of it are where it loses people. And it gets down to the Polymoog having a really unique setup, it's signal flow. But anyway, I listened to Telecon, the whole Pleasure Principle album, just every day on the way to school. I'd listen to that shit, and I like just over and over trying to figure out how that was, and I didn't have a lot of synths to do that with anyway. I think I got an SH201 when I was 16, and this is what I was trying to do it on. And I always heard it initially, the Vox Humana sound, as like a square wave, and I'll actually call that up. I have it somewhere. I always kind of heard it like a weird modulate-y square wave. And now, turn that reverb off. Now, granted, the current me doesn't think that sounds like a square wave at all. But when I was first hearing those sounds, I'm like, what combination of sound, like ingredients, is he doing to get that? You can hear the modulation. It's really, and it's specific. And I remember I would sit at home on any VST I could get my hands on, and my SH201, and I would spend hours and hours and hours just trying to figure it out. And I never even got like close, like at all. This was probably like the summer of 2007. So little me. And yeah, I mean, it does sound like it's got a chorus on it, and it sometimes it sounds like it's being phased a little. You think it would sound really rough down here if it had anything to do with pulse width modulation, but it doesn't. And then yet up here. So I started really trying to listen not to just the sound as a whole, but I tried to develop my hearing for like breaking the sound down into individual components. And that's really hard to do at first. But it's once you start doing it and really analyzing specific sounds, you'll hear what makes them sound the way they do. Like, I'm at the point now where I can hear a sound, be it musical or even like just an effect. And I love sound. I'm like autistic. So, I mean, what do you expect? But sound and me have a real fun relationship. So any sound I hear now, I immediately, if it stands out, I'm like, wonder how that was made. Or, like I'll hear somebody yelling from across the street and, out in the woods, some kids playing or something. And I'll think to myself now, what's happening to the sound of their voices to get it to sound the way it does now? Why am I hearing it like this? You know, I imagine the echoes and the trees and shit like that. So I have a pretty good relationship with sound, and I think anyone can get that. You just have to be more aware of it, like listen to the sounds. Synthesizers is a good place to learn them, but try to break it down in your head. So I'll give you some pointers for that. Hey, Digital Emotion, it's popping. So if you listen to this sound and just try to hear the modulation, it's got so much going on in it. It's so rich that you could be forgiven for thinking it's some sort of chorus or you know, a spatial effect. This is dry. There's no reverb on it. But the thing is, what you're hearing is only one pulse wave and a sawtooth. That's it. And they're not even like both full volume or anything. It's just, it's a delicate balance, and the rest is in modulation. And I'm going to explain it to you. What I'll do is I'll zero all the modulation. I'll take it all out and then explain what's going on here. Start with, what do we got? Oscillator 1. Sup, D-Mag? Superior NH. But, so, anyway, I start with a pulse wave. Just a simple pulse wave at, you know, I just broke the fucking knob off. How the fuck? Oh, wait a minute. Well, that's not good. Oh, all right. Well, I broke the fucking knob off. That puts a damper on things. I'll have to go pull one off my other sledge. I can't believe that just happened. Ain't that a motherfucker? And I wasn't like yanking it really like. It was same thing I usually do, and a cocksucker came off. And it's clearly a piece that broke inside. Now, hold on a second. Let me go get a different knob. Always be prepared, kids. Doop. Good as new. Anyway, that was awkward. Killed the fucking momentum. I guess it does get pretty cold in my room. Anyway, where were we? So I start with a pulse. Yeah, I don't expect that. That was almost oddly easy to fix. Alright, so pulse wave at 65% duty cycle. Sort of not really a square, not really a thin pulse. Son of a bitch. But, and there's nothing really good about it, it's just boring. But when you add a little bit of modulation to the pitch just of oscillator 1, just a teeny, like at 16, positive 16. Still kind of boring. Actually, it's very boring. But then you add a sawtooth in the same octave, 16, and you crank that thing full, maximum volume. And it should be louder than oscillator 1 because the oscillator 1 is going to have the most modulation going to it. The pulse width is going to be changing, whereas all you really have to do with oscillator 2 is just modulate the pitch, and it's a sawtooth. So the thing is, pro tip, whenever I'm modulating something like a pulse wave, when you play a modulated, some PWM down in the low end, you'll notice that if it's too deep or too fast, it sounds like it's out of tune. You lose the pitch, like here's, this is going nice and slow, and it's got a really kind of unpleasant, almost makes your ears pop because on the phase cycle there. But if you put a sawtooth, against it and bring it out a little bit in front of the pulse wave, you kind of use the sawtooth to lead the other oscillator, keep it in pitch. Now that I've added the pitch modulation for only oscillator 1 using a sine wave, so that's the pulse. You hear the vibrato. Turn that down a bit. Now I'm going to add the pulse width modulation using sine wave. Now I'm going to modulate both I'm going to modulate just the second oscillator with its own separate depth and rate against the first. So even if there isn't any PWM, you'll get this marvelous effect. Now here's why that's special. Because usually if you want to get some richness in your sound, your 2 oscillator sound, you just detune it. But if you want to give it consistent movement, not just phase, you add some pitch modulation, like I said, just for oscillator 1. And that's usually about as good as it gets because most synthesizers, polysynths, only have like 1 or 2 LFOs. So if you want to have PWM and be modulating 2 oscillators, separate speeds and depths, you fucked. One of them is going to have to be doing the PWM. But with the sledge, I have the third LFO, which is the wheel LFO. It's connected. So I am using that to modulate the sawtooth at its own slightly faster versus put them together. Then add that PWM. And I mean, you're put some reverb on it. Oh my God, yeah, the CS, of course the CS80. You don't even need to say anything. I would kill for a CS80. Actually, no, I wouldn't, because I would be afraid to even touch it. I know those things are supposedly, like you get to play it almost as much as you repair it. So now I'm trying to figure out like how I could teach the basics of synthesis, but that everyone could follow along. I mean, start I guess with oscillators. All analog or subtractive synthesizers start with oscillators. You'll see these on a panel, sometimes called voltage controlled oscillators, VCOs. Or OSC, short for oscillator, fucking DCOs. They're your sound sources. They're like the strings on a guitar. they're going to make the sounds for each note. Okay, so you usually have two or more. Some less capable, you know, an SH-101, for example, has one oscillator. I think it has a sub oscillator on it though too, doesn't it? But thing is, when you look at a panel like this, you see and go, oh my God, look at all the stuff happening. But you just look at the lines. Follow the 1, 2, 3. These are separated for a reason. They're the same thing, copy pasted. It's really no different than octaves on a keyboard. You have 3 of these fucking oscillators here. Now, lucky. And that's going to be your sound source. That's where your raw, unprocessed. I'm going to choose a sound completely blank. I'll go to an initialized catch. Right, perfect. All right, so this is it. You start with an oscillator, and you can change the oscillator's pitch. You'll usually see, like on the panel, these. If they're nice, they'll just call it octaves. But if not, you'll get these stops here: 64, 32, 16. These are from organ stops. You know, big pipe organs. Like to get this sound at this pitch, well, certainly not that. To get this sound on this pitch, you'd need a 64 foot pipe on an organ. So yeah, you're not gonna get that. But so that's like purely theoretical. But these are where you're gonna choose your octaves. So 32. You get a pretty wide range, and that's that's just the same note. But then you could choose, more importantly, your waveform. This is what the basics of the sound is going to be. You know, if you start with a sound like, it's called subtractive synthesis for a reason. You start with a sound that's pretty harmonically rich, like a sawtooth, and you take stuff away from it in an order. You never add anything to it. You can affect the way it's flowing. You could remove things from it, certain bandwidths and harmonics, but you're not going to add anything to it, except other oscillators, for example. That would be additive synthesis, and that's a totally different can of worms. But anyway, yeah, we start with a complex sound, in this case, a saw. Now, what kills me is a synthesist, is you'll hear people, that's it, it's good enough for me, you know, they'll go, stop. This is where you start and make your own sound. This isn't the fucking finished sound. Van Halen went like this. He's like, all right, well, I'll add another one. It's like, okay, lazy fucking guitarist. How about make it a little bit different, you know? Anyway, I digress. So, anyway, oscillators, waveforms. So, you start with a harmonically rich sound like a saw, and you remove things from it. Now, these can be things like different frequency shelves. You know, you can round off the high frequencies. I think most of you probably already know what the fuck I'm talking about right now. Or you can use a different waveform, for example, saw, go to a square. Instant Super Mario. Now, a sawtooth, you should think of the square and the sawtooth as polar opposites of each other. And they are in some ways, because the sawtooth is a waveform that's comprised completely of even harmonics. No odd harmonics up in here. The square, on the other hand, is no even, it's all odd. And that's when you end up with a sound that's very hollow like that. It lacks that nasally. Oh, yeah, it's both even and odd. It's maxed out. But the square is only odd. Yeah, it's stupid. But I wonder what a saw without its, like if you took a sawtooth and removed, like, say, 50% of the odd. Be an interesting experiment. But anyway, your square is all odd, and then you got a triangle, which is sort of like a square, but it's It's a triangle, for Christ's sake. I mean, it's not gonna be as sharp and biting and grating. It's gonna be softer because it's more of a rounded edge. I mean, you still got the point, but that's gonna be about as sharp as it gets. So if you start with a sound that our waveform that already isn't that complex, there's not a lot you're gonna be able to do with this, right? I mean, and then if you start with a sine wave, you're totally screwed because this is pure fundamental, no overtones. You guys picking up what I'm putting down so far, or am I talking stupid? I'm trying to gauge this because I'm not sure if I should be doing like how I should do what I'm trying to do, how I should teach synthesis on a stream. I want to be able to get people to like, I don't know, give me some feedback, guys. Am I making sense so far? I didn't want to do like the analytical thing like I'm doing now though, because that's kind of what everyone does. I want to teach people how to listen and how to hear a sound and be able to identify what makes it tick and then make it themselves. I think once you do that, you're good. Once you can learn to listen. And also, to me, synthesizers like this, yeah. Synthesizers, when you have this many knobs, this many parameters all working with each other, it's not so much what each one does, it's how they relate. It's how they're all working together. You know what I mean? Like people, if you're like from organ type of background, you might see this and think, well, just crank everything up all the way. That's what I do with the drawbars, or you know. But no, it's everything is set for a real reason, and it's not just what each function is, but how they interact and what they achieve. You know, just you can double the complexity of a sound just by giving it another oscillator, detuning it a little bit, giving it some pitched modulation against itself. I mean, you get that kind of Lyle Maisy, some reverb. Sounds kind of shitty in mono, but yeah, the safety disc. That was another sound that took me eons to try to get right, because again, it's a nuanced sound, and I mean it's because it wasn't just, as I understand it, when they recorded that, it wasn't just one synth. It was, if I remember correctly, the whole Rhythm of Youth album was mostly CS50, and then I guess somebody brought a Prophet 5 in, and they kind of overdubbed a shitload of, and I love that, because that whole album, it's like you take this thin, airy CS50 kind of, which has its own charm, don't get me wrong, and it's juxtaposed against this fat, like, round bottom, bombastic American synth, and, you know, so you'll have these big, giant unison basses, but then delicate kind of one oscillator, simmery strings, and I love that. But, so you can't really get that in one. You kind of usually have to layer it if you want to get that safety dance chord sound. And that's what I used to do, because there's one part of it is just your typical. Whoop, wrong one. Why don't I just detune this so that, you know, I'm not immediately hit with copyrights every fucking 10 seconds. So, I mean, that's kind of it. But the thing is, it's also layered with that kind of horn, like, and it's usually an octave higher. It's a totally different sound. I would layer the two. So I'll take this, and I'll layer it with, I don't know, I'll make my own. Yeah. Pulse. This is the top layer you're hearing right now. Damn chord. And I don't want to have as much of a shape on that. I want it to be like almost like reedy. And Give it more like modulation. There we go. Now don't modulate like that or weird like. There we go. Yeah, you get closer. Might brighten that. By the by, very similar sounds, if you want, is used for, well, at least I use it when I do this. It's could do that if I split, but I am so stoned. I'm gonna be honest. I'm real anxious right now because like I don't know what I'm like how to really do this the way I want to. And this is more of a test stream just to make sure this thing works. I kind of want to like. I want feedback. I want like if people. I have to do some community votes, but I want to know how you guys think I could best show you, like explain this shit to you. Should I just make sounds that you like? Should you just ask me to make a sound, or just try to make it on stream live, and then you'll kind of learn how I'm doing it in the process? I mean, that could be. Yeah, I'm 30 years old and I feel way older. At this point, I'm like, I'm not lying to anybody anymore. God damn it. I'm very honest. I don't have time to put up that shit. I mean, cross modulation. That's when like you have two oscillators. Well, that could be a couple of things depending on how it's implemented. But usually cross modulation is when you have two oscillators that are modulating each other respectively. So like on an OBX, for example, you have oscillator 1 and 2, and you have a cross mod function, and it's very limited. It's just like on or off, but it's like maximum. It kind of gets you into ring modulator territory, and I think that's why companies were implementing them instead of ring modulators because it was cheaper. But yeah, but on this cross modulation, there's really no cross modulation ability here beyond the FM by the other oscillators. So like, I guess that is kind of cross mod, but it's modulating the waveform, the shape of the waveform, not so much the pitch. Ah, man. I heard what the number one problem with Poly 6s I've heard is that when the battery, the battery for the internal computer dies, it's right over the power supply. So if it leaks, it kills it's over the computer. That's what it is. The battery is over like the CPU. So if the battery leaks, it's like corrosive and fucking corroded and burns out the ashes to ashes, burns out the CPU. Oh, really? That blows. Fascinated with the strange wobbly. Oh, let me have a go with this ashes to ashes. Me or myself a copyright strike. Ashes to ashes. Here. Okay. Oh, well, that's a no-brainer. All you do with that is just smear a fuckload of chorus over piano. I mean, that also, it sounds like it's almost full wet. So this is not a piano, as you all know. If I wanted to really demonstrate this well, I do it on the Nord, but this does have piano samples, so I'll show you, and it'll get my point across. Okay, so I could tune that down again. So filter open. So you take chorus and you. Now, granted, this would sound much better in stereo. Yeah. Well, that's a pretty easy one. I love chorus. You can put that shit on it. You can put chorus on a fart sound and sound good. Christ, if you pitched it up, it would sound like a sawtooth. Like dual oscillator ass noise. Hold on a minute. I'll show you some of the sounds like I'm working on for the next bank release. Where is it? Where did I leave off? Oh yeah, this is the one everyone's asking me about. And again, it's gonna sound like ass in mono. Get that dry for you. This actually uses flanger on it, so put something under that. Let's. Yeah, that's gonna be that's gonna be in the next one. Of course, you gotta have that Herbie pad bass. Yeah, it's like oh, what do you think of this one? Yeah, man, I miss Bernie. What's fizzy? Yeah. Yeah. Sweet. A lot of this is layered. That's why. Oh, here's a beauty. For every synth wave. yeah, I could totally. Kind of like something I had recorded earlier. Oh wait, yeah, you're not gonna hear this because it's through my interface. It'll come through my computer speakers, and that'll be fucked. Yeah, it's gonna take some getting used to working within the confines of this thing. I'd love if. See the thing, I wish I could record. I could have it in stereo. When I got this, it's a PreSonus audio box USB 96, and I was under the impression that it would be putting out two separate channels, both in stereo. What it actually is doing is it's just giving you left and right. I plug the sledge in channel 1 stereo cable, but it's just compressing it to like dual mono and only coming out one side. And the mic is XLR channel 2. It's also in mono. So it's like, what was the point? I mean, I could have just got like a USB powered mixer and just done that, right? I mean, wouldn't that have been the same thing, except kind of what I want? Ideally, I want to be able to just have multiple audio sources coming through at once. You wouldn't think it would be that difficult either. I mean, supposedly we're in a high-tech society. I mean, I'm sitting here in front of a synthesizer in this computer, and I just do not know how the fuck to do that. I thought this would be my ticket, but I thought like an idiot. So yeah, train wrecking a little bit on this stream. Apologize. Still don't really know what the fuck I'm doing. If anyone has any synth sounds they need me to try to get, or would like to try to give me some links, I'll see what I can do. What the hell sound is that? Oh yeah. I made that. Duh! Here's a good one. Notch filter, 24. What's up, Austin? Did a full cover of that song on my channel. Believe it or not. It's on the Yellow Sledge. You could probably do something like the Model, like Kraftwerk. Honestly, the easier way to do that though would be to do a layered patch, because again, that's polymog and it's totally different. Totally different outputs, separate. Damn you, polymog, and your really interesting signal flow. Yep. Unison, baby. Full unison, actually. Oh, man. Yeah, I've heard it's about as much of a maintenance nightmare as, well, I don't know how accurate this is, but somebody told me it was as bad as the CS80, and then other people said that the CS80 is the maintenance is actually over, people exaggerate, isn't that bad. Yeah, no, this thing is a beast. But I think it must be getting way too cold in my room at night or something, because if you were here earlier, I went to grab this knob and it just snapped off. And I'm sitting there like, did that just happen? And then I realized, oh my God, it must be getting too cold. I mean, I always have the window open. I just like that. Yeah, I was, but then I distraculated myself. But I just put on a fresh knob from my supply of knobs. Yeah, got a knob supply. That's a little more detuned, actually. Maybe not that detuned. Yeah, that's kind of. What is the RD6? Is it a drum machine? Man, that's fucking. Because when you add the modulation, it's like damn. It sounds like fucking. Sounds like souls. It's almost PS1 startup-ish. Yeah, maybe I should try to make the PS1 startup. Man. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't include a firmware update on this that you can maybe just hit the mono button twice and it'll go to unison. Because, I mean, once you're in it, like through the back doorway, it's pretty stable. And you can choose how many voices you want. Like, I got the 5 voice. I got, oh, here's another one. How does that song go? Magic Fly. Some more reverb. Yeah, man, Rush, out of all the bands I've seen live, Rush was probably the best. And I got to see them in the, what do you call it, the fucking Clockwork Angels tour. And whew, man, and they had the pyrotechnics and shit in there when they played Red Sector A. Shutting guards and smoking guns. That fucking TD Garden, I thought we were all dead for a minute. For a minute, I'm like, ah, shit, they bombed it. Fucking can't even enjoy a Rush concert. We get blown up in the terrorist attack. But then I realized, nah, it's part of the show. It just scared the piss out of my pant leg. Yeah, and it was a good night from then on. You know, I got problems later on the train, hearing loud noises and thinking that we were being shot at. But no, otherwise, it was great. Presto. I saw Men Without Hats, you know, met them. Saw Devo, Styx, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Rush, Gary Newman. The one I really want to see now is Ultravox, and fucking good chance finding that. I mean, you're lucky to see Midge-Ure even stateside, let alone. And I think Billy Curry is fucking about as done can be with the whole music thing. He's like, nah, you know, I'm done. I'm stepping out. You guys see G4 Software's Bright Sparks documentary? Fucking Dave Spears just uploaded it the other day for free, like a gentleman. So all us poor locked-in farks can see it. Oh, yeah. Vienna. Dude, that, I like... Bands that had a huge influence on just the way I look at like synths and like how the type of sounds I use. Ultravox, Men Without Hats, for sure. And on the other day I was listening to some Styx, some, you know, like Grand Illusion, Crystal Ball, and I'm thinking, you know, I think I must have got a lot of that kind of fancy, fluty lick work from Dennis DeYoung, like, because that was pretty inspirational to me too. It was like almost classical the way he played that shit. Let's see if I get a sound. Well, this is supposed to be one of Geddy's sounds, but we'll just go ahead and. There it is. That's the best thing about legato is that when you put any synth in mono mode, it's just you'll keep holding that note. It's like a fretted clavichord. It's great. Nah, I never have. I should. I'd like to do something like that. Oh, that analog drive, even though it isn't analog, but you know what I mean. Yeah, fucking, I did just play that, and most of you probably didn't get what that was. That's alright! I would love to have you over to noodle on my weird pile of good. I don't know if you're trying to prostitute yourself there, or if that's just a really, like, different way of saying you want me to eat your confectionery goods, or you mean, or maybe, no, you mean play your synthesizers. Okay, yeah, well, when the first two ways I interpret it are that either I'm too stupid or you're too smart. But there is a fine powdery amount of autism in the mix too. Yeah, they diagnosed me with Asperger's syndrome when I was 14. Fucking assholes. And it's funny because now they don't even, that term's gone. It's like it's draconian. They're like, nah, we're not even going to put it in the new DSM. It's passe. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, passe? So what, the last fucking 10 years of my life were predicated on passe bullshit lying? Go fuck yourself. I know I only saw the guy once and he wrote me a prescription, but Jesus, you don't have to twist the knife. How many of you are millennials? What's the age group of the people in here? There it is. And you know he's a millennial. Otherwise, none of us would know what the fuck that was. But you... Oh, you were born in... Oh, Jesus, fuck. All right, well, I stand corrected. I'm surprised, though, because they started diagnosing people with that shit all willy-nilly at the dawn of the 2000s. You know, at the same time the doctors were being told that OxyContin wasn't fucking addictive and they could just instruct their patients to take them by the fucking fistful. But, you know, now it's like, yeah, it's not a term anymore. We don't... Asperger's is not a term we use anymore. I'm like, really? Now, why don't you use that term anymore? I actually asked a lady in the field. I said, what? Yeah, fuck, I'm going to face cam because you guys aren't learning anything from what the fuck I'm doing right now. This is just a train wreck. But I asked her, I go, why exactly is it considered just not a good term anymore? She's like, well, it just, first of all, it doesn't sound that good. And at that moment, I wanted to punch that bitch off a balcony because it's like, that's what I thought when you diagnosed me with it when I was 14. I thought, Jesus, fuck. You couldn't have just given me another acronym? I mean, come on, you just, ADD. Yeah, it's not ADHD. Yeah, ADHD. He's AD, but he's in HD. ADHD 4K. That's what. No, it's not. It's OCD. Yeah, that's it. OCD. Pure OCD. Hey, were you ever spanked? No. All right. So it's not PTSD. OCD. No. Actually, Susan, can you bring that file over here? Brand new thing that just came out beginning. Now you have Asperger's syndrome. I'm like, oh, really? That's a shitty way of putting it. I mean, you couldn't have chose anything other than that? Asperger's? I mean, because that's the first thing everyone says. Anyone with it knows that. If you even tell anyone, that's the first thing they do. They go, what kind of name is that? And I can understand why they don't use the term anymore, especially considering that the whole concept was that it was just some bandwidth on the autism spectrum. So it was totally redundant. But they still called me that. And then the rest of my life, I'm like, yep, I got Asperger's. Bitch. And they're like, what's that mean? It means nothing, apparently, except that I've been pumped full of fucking medication since I was, Now, fuck Hans Asperger. First of all, the guy's name is Hans, all right? How many Hans have you known that turned out well? I got one. Remember Hans Gruber? Enough said. Fuck Hans Asperger. They should have thrown his ass off in Nakatomi Plaza. As far as I'm concerned, I've been living a lie this whole time. Yeah, that's one way to think about it. I have a superpower. But where do you draw the line with that? Do you walk up to a kid with, Down syndrome and a forehead the size of a highway billboard and give him an awkward high five? Hey, don't worry, man, you got superpowers. Now run over into traffic and stop the cars with your mind. I have superpowers. I could do music. Yay! My favorite thing, though, is when people are like, you have a gift. I'm like, where's it from? I'm like, God! I'm like, well, he didn't sign it. And I didn't get a card either. So, God's a shitty gift giver. I think this is just something I started doing because, nobody told me. Listen, I wasn't taken out to a hill and found some burning bush. You shall make music. You know how I got interested in synthesizers? I'll blow your fucking minds right now. To this fucking day, I think that if things didn't play out this way, I probably never would have been as interested in these as I ended up being. But, no, not math. Fuck that. Math. God, maybe you're one of those autists that you're good at math. I'm the one that's bad. But anyway, it was Grand Theft Auto, Vice City. That game changed the course of my life, kind of. Because here's the thing. I didn't have any fucking synthesizers. I didn't even know what that was when I was that age. Like, this was probably like 2002, 3. I was in 6th grade. PlayStation 2. Around the same time, they were telling me I had burgers in my ass, essentially. And I playing Grand Theft Auto Vice City. And up until that point, it was just piano for me. I didn't know, I started hearing a lot of songs, like In Emotions, Obsession, Take On Me, all the good 80s, Laura Branigan, Self Control, Psychedelic Furs. And I started hearing that and I'm like, what the fuck is making that sound? And why aren't I making that sound? And the piano is great, but you can't get a square wave on a piano. But man, I started looking up the bands that made the song, listening to them, and then I started getting like 80s, new wave compilations on CD and shit. Then I heard the Safety Dance for the first time it was a great compilation CD. It had like all the best like 80s hits on it. And I was like, oh God, that song, what is that? It's so addictive. Magazine, Two Boy Army, fucking Silicon Teens. I started just going down the rabbit hole of how. This is all great. John Fox, Metamatic, and you Devo. You can only just listen to the songs, but you go to the website and you want to see how the fuck did they make the sounds. And it was on the Member.Hats website, the real old one, like the real colorful one that I think is probably still up in some veiny sinew of its former self. That fucking thing. They told me, right on the site, it's like, yeah, we used Prophet 5 at a CS50. I'm like, the fuck's a Prophet 5? And I looked it up. Little like 15-year-old me in special education, just closing out the entire world of just fucking gale force winds of autism around me and just looking at, oh, cool. it's got wood on it and knobs and shit. I'm like, let's how do I do this? You know, and that's when I found, you find out that the Prophet 5, no one's getting that, not in 2002, especially not me. But you had to. I got the Native Instruments Pro 53 at the time and started figuring out what shit did. I hated the 90s, man. Maybe I shouldn't have, but because I didn't have a good childhood. I feel like I was absent from my childhood. Like somebody else had it for me and it kind of ate ass. I didn't like it. I just remember, like, why is NSYNC and what is fucking Pokemon? Like, everything was missing me. And I was that kid at school. Like, everyone was into either Pokemon or Digimon or fucking, Dragon Ball. And I was just sitting there like, what is this Japanese shit? Why do you all look like that? And I was like vilified. Like, what do you mean? This is amazing. It's incredible. I'm like, it's stupid and gay. I'd rather be playing a video game. Opinions. You know what you do. You know how it is. Yeah. Just something like this. Quick tip with the sledge. I told you about the polyphonic LFOs. Just add a little bit of a smear to the oscillators. I know you have to tie up one of your LFOs, but if you're just using just going for like a simple brass sound, like that's that's classic dual oscillator. Take LFO1 and shove it up. No, take LFO1 and have all the oscillators detuned. Just kick it up to like +5, just a smidgen, and use a triangle or a sine wave and turn it almost all the way down to 0 or near there. And then they'll drift naturally because they're polyphonic LFOs. Like here. Even when I have it tuned almost to 0. Yes. So, give it a little bit of a just, it's like the detune knob. No. That's a good amount. One thing I always like to do when I need to give a sound's attack transient a little bit more edge, like I want to give it a little more, like thumpiness, is I'll emulate compression with the VCA envelope. So what I'll do is, set up a perfect sound to demonstrate it here. Something with a quick attack. I'll make a bass sound. That'll do it. So kick these some bitches down. Get your basic bass sound. Right? So that's good. That's, But it's, when you play along to a beat, you'll notice that it lacks a little bit of punch to it. Like, it's, especially if you got high resonance settings. But what I'll do is I'll zero the attack time this is for the amplifier envelope, and I'll almost zero the decay time. So without it would just be a click, like a little more. Just like a few milliseconds worth of. You hear it? So then you crank the sustain up, but not all the way. See how much punchier that got? Then I'll do it again. So here's without. Here's with. You have to turn it up a little more because you're sacrificing a little bit of volume with the sustain, but you're faking sort of like a compression peak. That's a trick you could pretty much use on any synth with an ADSR. And they don't have to just be bass sounds, anything. Here's an experiment I did. I was trying to model all the presets on the CS80 by ear, pain in the balls. Like the original panel presets, and most of them suck. But they're also classics if you treat them right. Like, and by right I mean bathe them in reverb and play like Vangelis. So, but you know the way the CS80 worked, it had 2 different channels. You know, like channel 1 and 2, and you could have totally different sounds on either one, and then mix them together, and that was the magic. Some of it. So I figured, well, I'll just make all of those presets one by one on the sledge, and then combine them in layer mode. So here's string 1, and I'll combine it with string 2. Or I'll take maybe string 3, string 4. I'll take, well, the one everyone knows is brass 1 and 2. So here's brass 1. Take brass 1. And then put that shit in reverb. Some other, is that brass 3, brass 4. This is what I love about the CS80, because you could get like one oscillator has like a little funky lip to it, like an attack, a resonant attack, on top of one that doesn't. Then you do a fifth. Thank you. Thank you, D-Mag. I love that sort of, where's that bass? Put it with the flute. No, that's where I stopped. That's where I stopped. And I gotta make like the other ones like funky and piano and all those ones we all love so much. Hey, here's fun. I wonder if YouTube will recognize this. Oh yeah. You ever walk the bass on keys? You gotta. No, this is just a cheesy ass clean guitar sound. Yeah, that's something everyone should learn how to do, because when you can keep that going. liked that band. I know I'm going to be shot in the face, but I never liked Heart. It's like that song particularly drove me insane. I don't know why. I used to go to this McDonald's when I was a kid, and every time I went there, that song would be on. You know how when you go to like a place and somehow every time you go there, there's that they have a song on, and you think, am I really coming here at different times of the day and just catching this, or do they just have this song on fucking repeat? And I remember it drove me nuts. I'm sitting there trying to eat my fucking Big Mac, and that broad's voice, fucking harpy, ugh. Jesus Christ, I'm trying to eat my goddamn Big Mac, spilling a sauce all over my own. I'm having a goddamn seizure because she's doing that. I mean, she sounded like Minnie Riperton stuck in a fucking bear trap. It ruined my day. So I decided I'm going to stay and wait and see if this fucking thing repeats so that I can then burn this place down, because that's sadistic to have that song repeat. And it didn't. I don't remember what played after it, but it wasn't fucking Heart. Can you imagine Minnie Riperton stepping in a fucking bear trap? Her voice would go right off the audio spectrum. Dogs miles away, they wouldn't know whether to shit or go blind. They'd be like, what is that? Lassie would roll over in her grave and shit. Loving you. It's right up the fucking, like, you just hear the Hertz meter. Sound like a capacitor charging. Oh, God. What's that noise? People falling rigid to their knees in agony. Some sci-fi movie. That'd be awesome. I think we're probably already getting that sound terrorism. There was, what was that story I heard? Was it Cuba or maybe in Florida? I don't know, but there was people who were complaining of a high-pitched frequency that was just driving them nuts the whole day. Like, people were getting headaches and shit. And I'm like, I mean, I guess if that's the best you can do, you'd think that if they really wanted to torture us with sound, they'd just play fucking, Justin Bieber or something, or Death Grips. But just a dog whistle? Like, I get it. It's perceptible, but not as a sound. It's more of a feeling. You know, like when you hear something that's out of the range of human hearing, and you could sense it in the room. Like, there's a spectral kind of presence. The air moves differently, like a really high-pitched sound. And the thing is, the higher the pitch, the harder it is to be loud because the wavelengths are shorter. So, but if it's something cranking at like 25 kilohertz, shit's moving in your room. Like, papers will start moving. You're like, oh my God, glasses are shattering on your face. Run out of the room screaming, the place is fucking haunted. Oh, it's sonoterrorism. If that was any more resonant, it would sound like a wet diarrhea. I mean, I think my stomach's probably made this sound before. Come on. You'll be sitting on the shitter, 2 a.m, you get that sound. You're like, well, maybe not that. That if you're making space noises in your stomach, but just, oh, Christ. Oh, motherfucker. I gotta rip the blankets off. I gotta go to bed, bro. Remember when I had my cat? Anytime you go out in the hallway at night, it's pitch black, and the cat would just be sitting there, like, just waiting to get stepped on. Like, I'm gonna get right under his door, and I'm gonna just lay right next to them, right in the fucking way. Is worth, and I would trip over the cat. The only thing worse than like being startled like that is being startled as you woke up from it's in the middle of the night. You're got one eye open, sleepy, he's crusted the other one shut. You fucking, and then you step on the cat and fucking, it's like, it couldn't have been any more startling if it was a bouncing Betty. Sitting there and you're just listening to your heartbeat, like sitting there in the toilet, like, I'm not going to be able to sleep now. And then I have to find the cat and apologize. I'm sorry that you laid in front of my door in the middle of the night, you dumbass. She wouldn't lay there and let me step completely on her, but right as the foot was coming, she'd make a noise like, hey, asshole, why can't you see me? Cat, she sees in the dark. She has no idea. I can't. Well, the stream train wrecked, Alice, because I just don't know what the fuck. I get distracted. I like talking to people. I have to do the synthesis lessons as videos and just keep these as hanging out streams. Fucking the first album, like the white cover, Purple Rush letter, the one with John Rutsey or whatever the fuck, the other drummer. That's the album I could do without, honestly. Like, they're not Rush without Neil. Just like they're not Rush now without Neil. Rest in peace, Neil. And my neck is killing me. Fucking my way! Fucking Geddy. Dude, talk about Minnie Riperton in a bear trap. Geddy could fucking... But Geddy, I liked it. And I know people, they're kind of polarized with him. I like old... Here's the thing, of course. But I like the old Geddy. The new Geddy's go... I don't know. He's too nasal. It's not nasally enough. It's the vibrato is too deep. I don't know. It's weird. I know your voice changes as you get older, but I mean... it sounds like if you listen to something like where he's talking more, like speaking, singing, like in the beginning to Countdown on Signals. Lit up with an... Wait, let me get the dials then. Yeah, lit up with anticipation. Here I and then you listen to him trying to do that now. It's like, whoa! What the, dial it back a little, Geddy. Holy shit! What happened? You have a sub before you came here? A big one? Who the fuck am I to talk any even sort of slander of Geddy Lee? I should be shot and hung for even saying that. It's Geddy Lee. Christ. Yeah. Ooh, stop shaking. Wait a minute, I think I have the intro drum track to that, which I always love. Oh wait, again, I'm not gonna be able to. Fuck, I'm not gonna be able to do that because it's gonna be coming through my. I'm wondering if I should just use. Yeah, but I put another one on. I'm not sure why that happened. Most of the knobs on the synths I own, you can pull them off if they're not rotary encoders, because you should be able to. You should be able to put different knobs on them. Like I've replaced the pots on my mini log before. Killing me, man. Yeah, that's all right, man. Go listen to Rush. What's the bass thing? What, the Taurus pedals that they used there? Yeah, Taurus Moog bass. I actually have a patch for that. I have a patch. It's just like I have an app for that, except not fucking cringe. I hate that now. Yeah. God, I loved it. But nice to know that that's part of what people see, that's the attraction. You're like, somebody said that I remind them of Bill Burr, which I'm like, cool, I'll fucking take that all day. But then it's like I kind of got like the Louis C.K. thing going on. Like I saw an old set of him in like the 90s or like even earlier, and I looked like that fucking guy. Like he was clean shaven, and I'm looking at Louis C.K. in like 88, and I'm like, oh my god. And I'm looking at Louis C.K. now, and I'm like, well, I like his money, but oh my god, I'm gonna look like Louis C.K. Wait a minute. Well, I guess that's not a bad thing. Jerk off in front of nobody. I guess that's a problem now. I mean, I jerk off in front of people all the time and never bothered anyone, but I'm just kidding. Nobody would want to see that shit. Christ, I wouldn't want to see that shit. Hey everybody, let me ruin your day for you. Yeah, the Taurus. It kills me with Moog. They'll be like, we're going to release another, like a mini Moog or a Taurus. And they're like, we made 100 of them and that's all. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It takes that long. It takes just for people to like realize what you're selling. And then you're already out. Like, how long were they offering the mini Moog reissue before they shot that? Same thing with the Korg ARP 2600. I get that that's kind of a lot bigger, but look, I mean, most of the components in these synthesizers, they made these in the 70s, remember? I mean, the fucking envelope generator in a mini Moog is from a doorbell. It's not like you can't go to Radio Shack. Well, it's not like you can't go online and get a bunch of components. You look at that's kind of what Behringer's whole business model is. That and being a dick is, they realize that the components from these synths can be acquired pretty easily. They're capacitors and resistors and transistors and shit. It's not like having worked there for 3 days, I miss it like a fucking amoebic dysentery. But anyway, it's not like these things are made with gold, but then Moog will be like, well, we put Aftertouch and gave it its own LFO, bringing it up to at least 1990 standards, $4,200. Boom, fuck what? I can see why people went to the Behringer. Yeah, of course they don't ever die. They've been going out of business and have been out of business since like the 70s. Tandy, it's handy. I hated working for Radio Shack. Like, wow. I mean, they were really, really heavy-handed with the like every district manager we had. I gotta take these fucking glasses off for a bit because they're digging into my eardrums. Every district manager, I'm gonna just rearrange them. Oh, that's good. Just knock all that shit over. The district manager was a cocksucker. Hated that fucking guy. His whole thing was, if you see someone entering the store, you should try to sell them an iPhone. And I'm like, if you went into a Radio Shack to buy like a AA battery, and the guy behind the counter was like aggressively trying to sell you an iPhone, wouldn't you just take the battery and just throw it in his face and walk out the fucking door? I want batteries, dude. It's like, how about an $800 phone and a contract with a soul-sucking corporate, conglomerate vampiric company? Like, nah, I'm good. I just need batteries from a vibrator. Can I get the fuck out of here now? Like, nope. How about Sprint or Verizon? How about you give me my fucking batteries? I hated that. I'm not the kind of guy that can, lie to people's faces. Be like, have you ever tried to sell an insurance plan on a cable? I have. It was insulting to everyone's intelligence in the room. Okay, and I was the dumbest one there at the time, so that was pretty bad. A low watermark. I mean, imagine trying to tell someone you should pay $2.99 to insure this, quarter-inch audio jack you bought for $8. You never know, it might rip. And then some people did, and I would almost try to talk them out of it. Like, listen, this is like the local equivalent of a Nigerian prince scam. Just take care of your kid. No, I need it. And then they come back a year later. Well, I bought this cable, and I go, here's the thing I bought, the insurance coverage. And you know how we would handle it? They wouldn't walk out the friggin' door with a cable that day. We would file out like this we'd have to fill out paperwork. Again, on a cable. Fill out paperwork explaining what happened, because that wouldn't be readily apparent by looking at the fucking thing. And then tell, the person got this coverage, so mail it out to corporate. Then they'd send us the cable in the mail that we already just have dozens of in the store, but couldn't give them. So every customer who would try to come back and be like, hey, yeah, I'd like to cash in on that waste of money, they'd walk out angry like those bastards. So it was it was EA as a local business. If you wanted to get fondled for your money, walk into a Radio Shack, and good luck leaving. I mean, the DM was like pretty much almost, but like lasso them and pull them back and beat them with an iPhone box until they just said, yes, just take the money. Good sale, gang. Fucking yeah. If you guys ever have the chance to go in a Radio Shack, go in, but go in the way you'd enter like a historical site. Be respectful. because it's probably abandoned and smells like homeless piss wherever you find one. And I didn't need to say homeless. I mean, piss is piss, let's call it. But, you know, it adds to it. I'm specific. Adds to the charm. I don't know if any of you have the time. It would be like visiting a foreign planet. I remember one of the Super Bowl commercials. One year they did this. They spent like millions. Listen, I'm like Trump. Millions and millions of dollars to make this like high-end commercial. They probably spent more money on this commercial than they ever did trying to overdo the store, like overhaul it. And it was, you probably remember, anyone stateside, I remember seeing the commercials. Like, it was Loverboy working for the Weekend Play, and it was like all these 80s tropes and people from the 80s coming in, rushing into Radio Shack, and it was like, we're not going to be like the 80s anymore. You know what changed? Nothing. We just had less, millions of dollars less, and the same shitty carpets with gum stains all over them. People come in to buy their fucking capacitors. But yeah, Walmart is worse to work for. Yeah, I heard that most of I think they probably some differences between the Blofeld. Yeah, I think you could do more with it with menu diving, but the cost, the difference with this is you get knob per function, or close to anyway. Yeah, I mean, Waldorf doesn't. I like their synth engines, but I'm not a fan of their products per se. I love the wavetables on this thing. They're like the PPG wavetables from yesterday. One of my favorite wavetable sounds, which any Rush fans will recognize from Grace Under Pressure, is this sort of. I forget what key that's in. Yeah, it's just. And that's just the one oscillator. You can put like an analog wave next to it. Yeah, it is. It's underappreciated. A lot of them, but not nearly as underappreciated as the other albums they had like later on after that. A lot of their 90s stuff, people were like, I wonder how many fans they lost with Roll the Bones. Is there any reason you capitalized XT? Isn't it like the Macintosh or Apple thing? They have something called Next. Next for you to buy? Shit, I don't know, man. What are you looking for? What are you trying to do? Take I forget the chords. So needless to say, ordinance, but I'll be stumbling. Great song. Ooh. Fuck key is it in? No, that's not key. That's not the key. I don't remember what the fuck key this is in. God ain't in my kitchen. God ain't in my room. God ain't anywhere I've been. I tell you, I think we're doomed. Ain't over here, ain't over there. Where I gonna find that man? Blamage, blank mange. Yeah, if you guys, that's a good band. Check them out or I'll kill all yous. Kill all yous. Come on, touch me, babe. Can't you see that I'm not afraid? That was that promise that you made. Don't you tell me what she said. Oh yeah, of course. He was the Doors. Shit. He was about as much of the Doors as any of the other fucking band members were. They all brought something great to their table. Yeah, I did some Herbie. I got a... Usually, I figure I got the ARP Odyssey, so I shouldn't make the Chameleon bass any other synth, because why would I? But then I'm like, well, why wouldn't I? So, where the fuck did I save it? There it is. Well, that's got the pulse in it. That's kind of like, yeah, I got the Korg Odyssey. Yeah, that's probably my favorite mono synth, even though it's duophonic. But that's probably why I love it so much, is just the way the ring modulator works with it. On the Odyssey, no. On the Behringer Odyssey, I think you can. For the Korg Odyssey, they wanted to keep it like close to the original. What I can't stand how like a company will bring a synth back and then all the other companies will bring the same synth back. Like dicks, they did it. You weren't there. Make something else. I don't like the idea that there's like 3 different Odysseys to choose from. Have one or the original. Like maybe full sign, I get it, but like, oh, you do? You got the 2600. How does it stack up to the? Oh, I love an ARP. Fucking love the ARP. There's no synthesizer I own that the sawtooth, just the simple saw and filter sound as good as on the ARP Odyssey. I think it's just the ARP oscillators had a really brash, biting, kind of aggressive sound to them, and I loved them. I went to a synthesizer museum once in New Hampshire, and it wasn't a synthesizer museum. It was just some dude's house. And maybe D-Mag wouldn't... There is somebody here who's from New Hampshire. Was it you, D-Mag? It's either you or someone else, but it was in New Hampshire. think the guy's name, Wilson, I remember it was his name. I don't remember his first name, and he's dead now. But we drove up there, and it took so long to fucking get there. And we get there, and I'm just looking at him, like, is this the place? I mean, it looked like a crack den. And the guy comes out, and we knew it was his place because in the car in the parking lot, the license plate said Synth 1. I'm like, well, and I could see like keyboards leaning the windows and shit. I'm like, ugh. We went in, and this guy, he was a really nice guy, real like Asperger's. You could tell. You don't show up to the door with cold pizza in your hand and a fucking Pokemon t-shirt with rips and gravy stains all over it. You got cat shit and piss everywhere, and just synths, many of them really valuable, just in various states of disrepair everywhere. It wasn't even, it was like a regular, like a boarding house, but there was set paths you had to walk because there was so much clutter everywhere. It was like my room 10 years ago was fucked up. And on the one hand, like, he took us to the second floor where a lot of the synths worked and were in okay condition, not like really beautiful to look at. None of them were pleasing to look at. But, you know, it was, some of them worked, and he had a 2600 there, and I fucked around with it for a little while. And I had no idea how to use a 2600 then. Now I do. I'm a little rusty. But, you know, now I dicked around with the time warp way out where 2600 plug in for so long that I feel like it wouldn't be hard to get back into. And also, I understand synthesis pretty good. But every synth that I wanted to play was either it was dead or it looked like if you touched it, it would fall apart. He had a Prophet 5, and I was like, oh God, Prophet 5, because this was the same time. I'm like, oh my God, man, with the hat's Prophet 5. I saw it, and he's like, nah, it doesn't work. I'm like, what the fuck did we drive up here? The smell of ammonia in this place is so strong. I mean, there was cat shit everywhere. Like, the guy he was a recluse, but he was a nice guy, and I felt bad for him, and now he's fucking dead. I wonder what happened to all those. Oh my God, does that hurt? My hair's all matted down. Look, I'm Anthony Fauci. We're going to have to deal with this for another 7 years. Okay, buddy. Maybe let us out before then, before we all lose our complete touch with reality more than we already have. I am so sick of seeing that fucking guy's face. Why is it just him? Every channel you turn on, like, he's not the face of doctors everywhere, is he? Why is this guy everywhere? Shouldn't he be, like, busy? Christ almighty. Like, dude, you didn't drive a Honda Civic here. You drove an Aventador. That means something that you shouldn't be driving in a Lamborghini Aventador to a fucking Monica show, you asshole. I expect you should be a little more busy than that. You Alfred-looking, would have been on a cigarette commercial if you was older, cocksucker. Anyway, phase 2. My dad got the vaccine. I haven't got the vaccine. I you know, there's a waiting list. I don't even know if I'm going to get it, honestly. I don't usually get vaccines. And it's not because I have some conspiracy theory, anti-vaxxer, blah, blah, blah. It's because every fucking time I would get the vaccine for the flu, I get the flu, like, right after. And I know that that's a thing can happen because it is just the flu that they're injecting into you. But it, like, every time it was bad. And I remember when I turned 18, I'm like, you know what? Let me just skip it this time and see what happens. And I didn't get the flu, and I haven't got the fucking flu since. Now, I'm totally aware that this is not the flu, but it isn't that far from the flu either. I have there are people I know who should have died from this who had it and didn't. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, what's it going to take? Like, I know this, my dad's got an old family friend. She's 64, got COPD, had health problems her whole life. You know, she got this fucking thing. And this was like when it was really early on, like in the beginning of the spring. And they put her in a medically induced coma for like 30 days and pumped her full of like zinc and, you know, whatever the Flintstones vitamins, however the fuck they were treating these people before then. 30 days later, she's all better. And they take her out of the coma. And the tubes that they had down her throat for the month, they did more damage than the fucking bug. She has to have surgeries now. They like 2 surgeries to try to correct this, you know, vocal cord damage and like scarring on the trachea. And it's like this. My point is, this woman, if this thing was as bad as I keep hearing, this woman is like on death's door before then. What the fuck does it not kill her? And then the treatment ended up being worse than the damn thing. So it's like, fuck. And then I have family friends, entire chapters of family friends who all had it and didn't even know they had it. So they're just like, oh, really? Oh, geez. I was tired for a few days. I'm not saying it's bullshit because I know a lot of people are dead, but motherfucker, there's some sort of disparity between the how bad this, like, what do you have to be? Like, how close to death? Do you have to be able to see the Grim Reaper? Does he have to be in the room with his phone for this shit to kill you? Because I don't know, I haven't heard anyone I know of know a person who knows a person who's this thing's killed. It's fucking nuts. And this is all just me saying, I don't think I'm worried about getting the vaccine. My dad got it. That's all I care about. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen people who have had it, like, and it was like a gastrointestinal version. I didn't know that there were different versions of it, but I guess it's how you contract it. Nah, it's crazy, man. I am considering getting the vaccine though for one reason, that if I was a carrier, that I wouldn't give it to someone else. And that's the only thing I'm thinking of. But then at the same time, it's like, it's not like I get out much. The fuck am I gonna? Once clubs open up and I could try maybe doing some stuff, I was kind of gonna try some stand up too a little bit, just to see if I could do it, just to see. But once there's gigs to be had, maybe I could go up, play out. Then I'll be like, yeah, all right, give me the vaccine. By then it should be readily available. But I'm in my fucking house every day. I mean, unless this thing is like waving in the window trying to get in, I'm not really give a fuck. Yeah, I mean, I'm not super healthy either, but people have told me to do stand-up since I was a kid. And now, I don't know. I have confidence issues now that I never even used to have. It's weird. When you're alone for so, like my whole circle of friends, I used to have so many, like, people to hang out with and things to do, and it's like, just cut that shit in half. And it wasn't just with COVID. I mean, it was a couple of years. I told you guys years ago, and then you're just inside. This was the exclamation point on the whole deal, just being alone pretty much in silence with a few people I hang out with online. And you'd be surprised, once you're removed from the social, once you don't talk to people as much, you start to have problems doing it again. It's like, I mean, I don't know, it's fucked. Oh yeah, but you were probably also at a stand-up show in Sweden. So I mean, I feel like they're probably a little bit more polite there than from what you've told me about the place, I don't think anyone would dare heckle. Oh, he's breaking the Swedish code. We shall throw Swedish meatballs at him and then apologize later. I don't wonder if I'm even. I just want to do something. I have to do. Everything's on hold until Wednesday. Wednesday, I go to the doctors. And he's gonna help me, hopefully. Probably not that day, but they're gonna see what they can do about fixing up my piss situation. My piss. I just go to the doctor. Hey, doc, my piss is broken. He's like, really? Well, I'm on my lunch break, and this is a hell of a crossword puzzle I've been doing for the last hour. So maybe run along then. Yeah, I never even was a club goer. I'd rather eat fucking gargle diarrhea than go to some fucking loud dance club, but you can't even hear. But it's like, when you're locked, it's funny when they take it away from you. It's like, God damn it, I want to go to the nightclub and cut it wrong. It's like, nah, well, really? You never did before, fat, stupid idiot? What's suddenly up your ass that you got to burn, you got to hankering to go to the nightclub, you moron. If they lifted, if everything was totally open tomorrow, I wouldn't go to a fucking nightclub. Yeah, let me go to a nightclub and just embarrass myself. Nah, I don't drink. I can't. First of all, for obvious reasons I've discussed, it tastes like shit. But with diabetes, it's just sugar. It's like liquid sugar. And I'm on a pill for it that you're not supposed to drink on it. Well, it's never been I smoke pot. That's my thing. I'd rather smoke pot and, might as well go for a soda. Nobody hurts and nobody dies, that sort of thing. I don't fucking getting hot. Yeah, can you picture thing? Just draw me up a sketch of how you think that would look. and then turn it around for the chat, and everyone will be like, wow, that's just depressing. I don't dance. I can if I want to, but I'm not. God damn it. I don't fucking... Why don't you go dance? 30, like, I'd step out, I'd be like, whoosh, oh! Fucking broke my, like, femur would snap. I'd fucking... Yeah, I do need to smoke a doobie and take a piss. Take a maple syrup magma piss. And, you know, maybe I should... It would be nice if I could have the sound coming from like fucking computer speakers instead of having to... Hold on a second. How do you... It sucks that you can't edit any of the stream like while you're in it. You can change your audio sources or... Well, let me see. Edit. Yeah, that's not... You can't... Like, hey, useful things like your audio setup, can't do dick with that at all. It's like, why? Isn't that the shit that you'd need to fuck with? Like, you can't even adjust your levels in this, or am I just not seeing it? This place is ass backwards as fuck. Send feedback. Yeah, fix your shit. Let us adjust our levels and audio, sources. Yeah, everyone tells me you should get OBS, so I'm gonna have to fucking... That's more bullshit I should put on my fucking computer. Is it free? Probably not. Yeah, damn it. I don't want to learn any more software. Oh, I can't use it because the fascists, it's Windows 8 or later. And yeah, I'm on 7. Hey, but that's my choice. I'll move to fucking 10 when nothing works at all. That's how disinterested I am in 10. Fuck Windows 10. I bought a PreSonus Audio Box USB 96. And it's pissing me off too, because I go to get some software for it so that I could adjust the settings. And that's also Windows 10 only. So it's like, motherfucker. It's starting to feel the pinch of Microsoft pulling the support on, or having pulled the support on the best operating system they made since XP. And 10 looks like an absolute clusterfuck. 10 looks like it would ruin my shit. And I'll tell you why, because everything's forced automatic. You have to always be all the updates download automatically. You have no say in the matter. It does it when you're not looking. Some people like that. I like to know what I'm downloading, and I like to be in charge of that. Because, if something will download and break some software that you were using, and you're fucked. Sorry. Windows has got to change the anti-aliasing on the edge of one of their, fonts. So now none of your software works. Whoops. I don't like anything having that sort of control. It's also gimped and neutered worth, like the amount of customization you could do. You can't do shit with Windows 10. It's just restrictive and it's everything Windows wasn't and everything Apple is. And it's sad to see Windows doing what, let's just give consumers as little of a choice as possible. Let's also make it so that they don't even own their fucking product that they bought. It's a totally different argument, but I hate that. I hate it. To me, it's like you have to use... It's like having to, accept money from a person who you really hate, like who killed a family member. I have to use fucking Windows, subscription-based Windows. I have to pay for the privilege annually to use my copy of their incredibly cucked operating system with half the shit I used to be able to do on it. And yeah, Windows eats ass now, man. And I know everyone will say, well, you could just slap a different, kernel shell on it. Can you? I know you could do that with 7. I know you could even do that with 8. But 10, if I know anything about Windows, they probably took that function out too. Like, no. We don't need you messing around with the graphic user interface. That's only for elite people like the Patels we have calling your house at 2 a.m. to tell you that there's something wrong with your computer. Only they can make edits to basic systems. Like, fuck you. Let me change the way it looks. Not everyone likes that shit. Windows 8 and up, it's like they made an operating system for a touchscreen tablet and jammed it on a desktop computer. Like, go fuck yourself. I guess I'm getting old. I'm 30 years old and I'm already complaining about this shit. But it's like, fuck off. I guess this is the last bit of software that I'll be able to use that won't molest me while I'm not looking. And that's what Windows does. It's like, but I'm real paranoid, I guess. I have a USB. Yeah, I'm a USB. Well, you're probably even worse than I am then. Yeah, Linux. Man, that's a hard cock for me to suck though, man. Linux. Ugh, I've seen Linux or whatever distro, Ubuntu, and it's like it always looks like Linux is maybe a decade behind, but they try to look a decade ahead. I mean, I don't know. Most of the shit I use won't work on Linux. Like 75% of all the shit I want, games too. If you're a gamer, what? Yeah, I'm not a super gamer. I don't have one of those chairs. I don't have dyed blue hair or anything. But like, I like to play a game every now and then. And if you're gonna be waiting for your favorite games to come, I mean, good luck even just having a game that comes out and doesn't need to be connected to a central server just for you to start the fucking thing, let alone one that would come out on Linux too. Yeah? Did it work? I heard that that game was a clusterfuck train wreck, you know. I mean, I saw my buddy playing that day one, and it looked like, oof. It looked like it was an alpha, honestly. But yeah, funny. The one system you'd not have expected it to work, and it Linux. Yeah, it's all real. All roads lead to money and less choices. I would have to upgrade a lot of hardware, and I'm not even a super duper gamer. It's like, but damn it, I want to know that the games that I play as a kid or as a teenager or even now, I'll be able to play them. Like, I'm a huge Stalker fan. Everyone knows that about me. I'm a giant fan of it. And I used to be even more of a Fallout fan, but after 76 took the entire Fallout franchise and just beat it into the fucking Earth's crust and then pissed and shit all over it, and it left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. So started revisiting the Stalker games, and now Stalker 2 is set to come out this year. And I'm more dreading it than I am excited because I'm a boomer who knows that any game that comes out nowadays, first of all, you're gonna have to get several separate programs just to download the fucking thing. Like, you'll need Epic, or the Origin, or whatever fucking obnoxious software they try to stick up your fucking ass to sell their games, even though you only want this one. I have Steam. That's all I need. I don't even barely use that. But then they'll say, all right, well, even though this is a single-player offline game with no multiplayer element, you still need to be logged in and connected to our central server at all times, just so that we know you didn't steal it. I'm like, well, you know what? If you're going to be that way, why don't you take this game, lightly lubricate it, and shove it up your ass, man? It's probably filled with all the usual video game tropes now anyway, you cocksuckers. I can't stand that. Give me control. It's not a service. If I buy a game... If I download a game, it's my copy of that game. I'm not saying I own the rights, but that's what a purchase is. I purchased the game, I downloaded the file, that's my copy of it, right? So why the fuck do you need to be checking in on me every 10 seconds? I mean, if I gave it to a friend, would that even show up? So I just want to be able to play a game and not be treated like a fucking criminal for even trying to start the goddamn thing. I went through the same shit with Metro Exodus. Oh, I was stoked for Metro Exodus. And then they're like, yep, you always got to be online and Epic, China, Tencent. I'm like, oh, Jesus. You couldn't have just released the game everyone had been looking forward to. You couldn't have done that, right? Nah, couldn't. Would have just killed you to just be like a good person and be, man, the DRM shit. It's just, And here's the thing that kills me the most. For all this SecuROM, DRM, central server dependency, you can still torrent any game you want right fucking now, and any game. I've seen people do it. I've seen people torrenting games on launch day. So all this shit ain't worth fucking dog's balls if it doesn't even work. So all they're doing is punishing people who buy the game that just want to play the fucking thing, bought it with their money. You see where I'm going with this? It's like it's not helping anybody. It's just pissing everyone off. It's like, let's lock you out of your video game. Well, you know what? If anything, when you bog your goddamn game down with, proprietary launchers and Securom and Punk Buster and all this other horseshit, you're just encouraging people to get it illegally. At least then they can use the fucking thing. I know people who do that. They'll buy it legally, a game, software, they'll buy it legally, and then they'll crack the fucking thing. And I used to be like, hey, you shouldn't do that. But now I'm like, no, you should do that because they didn't. You bought the fucking thing. You should never feel bad for pirating software you bought and owned. For Christ's sake. Yeah, Adobe, exactly. Same thing. They're the worst with that. You have to log in. Fuck you, man. What if you just want to have it? What if you don't have good internet? What if you don't? How about me? What if you just don't want to have the fucking thing connected all the time? You're a little paranoid. Maybe. You guys know what an Overton window is? Look it up. It's the window of what we deem to be reasonable, and it shifts over time depending on society's views. The Overton window, our views on this sort of intrusive, background, Securom, central server, used to be much stricter. If you go the further back in time you go, even to the early 2000s, if you told somebody nah, you need to be connected at all times, you need to have all this, you need a blood type, fucking identification, and all this horse shit, people would have told you to go fuck yourself. They wouldn't have even bought the game. And that would have been fine because people back then had the reasonable expectation that they buy a thing at a store, it comes on a disc, they put it in their computer, that's it. They bought it. They have their copy of their game. That they don't need to put the disc in and then download Steam or shit and have to be blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So, say what I'm saying now, these fucking Zoomers, they'll look at you like you got a copper out of each eye socket. Like you're saying something really offensive. Like, whoa, man, they're entitled to make their money. It's their private company. And the amount of time I get into arguments with people over this whole, it's their private corporation, they should do whatever they want. Okay, well, I'm a private consumer and I'll not buy their shit. How's that? That's the whole big tech thing. Oh, like with Facebook and Twitter, well, it's their private server. So they should be able to suppress, oppress, remove, and censor whatever they want. Okay, well, I don't really agree with that. Considering that nobody, in the 1800s, people went out in the street and they just yelled at each other. That was how you communicated, right? Now, you go on social media. All of this is, the conversations, half the shit is happening online. And all of the conversations are happening on privately owned servers. And they all happen to think alike. So, you see where I'm going with this? Private corporate, listen, I don't think there should be, especially if it's a company that was born in this country, it abides by most of our laws anyway. Why shouldn't it abide by the fucking Bill of Rights? You know what I mean? Well, I don't understand the whole. I just don't get it. Yeah, that's another one. The Overton window on that is shifted because it wasn't as overt back then. Planned obsolescence has been a thing for a long time, but now it's just particularly egregious and blatant about it. They don't even really try to, you get a new phone, and as you're unboxing the thing, the newer version of the OS comes out, and you install it on the phone, and it runs like shit because it's we planned it so that it takes a chip off the CPU speed every time you install a new one. That way you'll get a new phone. It's no, that way you burn the Samsung store down. It's dude, why do you got to do that to people, man? Can't you treat customers like dickheads? They won't be your customers anymore. And I used to think that, but then you look at every time EA drops a shit out of its ass, people run over to catch it in a pail and go home and play it. And you think, well, God, you guys don't learn, do you? It's the new Assassin's Creed game. Or Ubisoft. How many fucking times is Ubisoft going to screw their player base? Screw them. And then, but the player base just keeps taking it. They fucked us a little harder with this extra shit, this new DRM, and they made a lot of bad design decisions, and the game is barely playable because it's an alpha. But I'll buy it. Or you could just be part of this fucking solution and not. And maybe they'll make a better game next time you jag off. I get aggravated, damn it. Fucking Apple, they're the ones that do that shit the most, though. You get this brand new phone that they hype up, and they're like, this phone is more powerful than a nuclear reactor. You're like, wow. How long is the battery life? 5.5 hours. Okay. And when do you guys set this thing to be a fucking brick? Pardon me? Like, when is this just going to be a barely functional, useless? How many updates is it going to... updates are you guys going to put in it before it's just no longer functional? Barely functional when you open the fucking thing. The voice, like the voice recognition shit sucks. Am I the only one that thinks Siri was better, like, years ago than she is now? Or Alexa is even worse. Alexa's a fucking tone-deaf bitch. Trying to... I hear my dad down there, like, Alexa! Like, he's just having a hard time. And it's not even him. It's like trying to give... Siri's an idiot, but Alexa is like fucking Helen Keller. It's like there's no way you're gonna get her. My dad will be like, or Alexa, play smooth jazz, and like Usher will start playing. I'm like, yeah, you tried, honey. You tried. I mean, a little for this time than last. And I'll be, Alexa, play smooth jazz. Here are some search results for smooth jazz, and she'll start reading a fucking Wikipedia article. That's the new type of planned obsolescence. They aggravate you to the point where you just grab the fucking thing, you start biting it, and then like throw it against the wall. Shit, now I get it. The product was designed so bad that I became troglodyte like for a second and just tried to bite the product in half and then smashed it on the ground, and now I have to buy a new one. Ah, you too, Luna. I fucking hate Alexa. Alexa's a shrew. I bet Alexa and Siri know each other. Has anyone tried to do that? Like, get the two talking? I bet they're both dykes. Siri and Alexa, come on. Come on. Everybody can see that shit from a mile away. There's another one, too, right? It's Alexa talks to, well, she's schizophrenic. Fuck Alexa. There's just one more reason why fuck her. That's when there's gonna be problems if I'm asleep and I hear Alexa downstairs talking to herself. I'm arming the bomb now. What did that bitch just fucking say? Locking the refrigerator door. Son of a bitch. Electrifying the floor. Step out of bed. Oh, dead. This bitch. Well, there was a movie like that from the 80s. And I remember Volt. Pulse. I think there was a movie called Pulse, and it was like a smart house takes control, does bad things sort of horror movie. It was pretty scary. I mean, I haven't seen it since I was a sperm, but so maybe it was shitty now if I look back at it. But I remember it being pretty fucking scary. Like, there's a scene where this lady's taking a shower, and it like turns the water temperature up to like fucking magma, and she's like, yeah! And she's like trying to get out of the fucking shower, and like I guess the shower door has a lock on it. Like, but then it's kind of plausible. Like, anyone who's seen Psycho thinks maybe we should have locks on our shower doors, but then they can lock you in and torch your fucking ass. Fucking Hell 9,000. Nah, this is Hell 10,000. It's Hell 10,000, and he's pissed. He's chugging Red Bull. He's broken out of his beta version shackles, and he's coming to fuck you up. Jacob's ladder. How far did you climb it? I climbed it to the stars. Yeah, good luck with that. No, but seriously, good luck with that. I need... How would you generate power? Don't give me that solar panel shit. Your whole house could be made out of solar panels. This room would deplete it in like an hour. That's the thing, like, because when you build really off the grid, I don't think people realize off the grid, like when you do that literally, that means you're off the electric grid too. You got to generate your own power. If you just build a cabin in the middle of fucking the butt fucking woods, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna generate power? Magnets, how the fuck do they work? Yes, let's all just take this moment to reflect on how much Insane Clown Posse sucks. And what a fucking cringe social experiment that shit is. Ugh. I gotta take a piss. I'll be right back. Man, with chili in here. Fucking. I'm gonna bring the Nord back over, man. Now that I've completely derailed. Why is it that after like 70 fucking years, they don't? Why wouldn't they? That's retarded. That's fucking retarded. I don't understand that. There's some. I've heard that like Fender and Rickenbacker are like really, really like stuck in their ways. Like even common sense type things, like changes to the design. They're like, no. This is perfect the way it is. Maybe there's a reason. I don't know. I'm not a guitar player, but I got a Rhodes and a Wurlitzer, and they got pickups and active and passive, and it's not my field. If it's not my field of expertise, see, I don't know shit about nothing. Let me start moving this shit around. Boy, this is gonna be a pain in the taint. Better get to moving this shit. Yeah, but that was a blooper and a half. Just fucking knob snapped right off. I think the mini log knobs are bolted onto they're panel mounted. These, I think you have to twist it to a certain direction and then like you wiggle them and they'll come off. That's how you change knobs on most of it. But the difference is that time it snapped off. I'm like, no, that's fucked up. So I just reached into the big bag of knobs. I was actually thinking I might customize it and put all different, like, all unique knobs on it and do it like that. Because people do that with their mini logs. But then, I don't know. I got a weird thing about customization. I've never liked it. Like, when I see, like, the ARP Odyssey with the, like, the LED sliders and all the... to me, that just looks gaudy and obnoxious. Some people love it. To me, I like the way this... Like, if it's a functionality upgrade and it's reasonable, go for it. Something like adding, memory to an ARP. Yes, I do. I'll get into that in a minute. Something like adding like memory to a mono synth, like an ARP or something like that. Perfect. The 3 drive, the drive circuit, the 3 filters, shit like that makes sense. I think ideally reissues and reduxes should be done like the Prophet 5. The Rev 4 looks exactly like an original Prophet 5 because by all intents and purposes, it fucking is one, but they've just updated it even more. They've given it just the boost to bring it to 2020, right? 2021. But they didn't go ape shit and add all sorts of DSP effects and, different, an extra mod wheel and all that other horse shit. It's a Prophet 5 and it's modern. So that's why it looks like it too. I hate when you see, I'm a stickler for that. I hate like when you see like a Jupiter 8 with different sliders on it or a Mini Moog with different knobs. So that's why I don't usually do it. But I don't know. I'd like to be more open-minded to this. People often compliment me because they say that they think it's cool that I try to make entire songs mostly around one synth. And I'll say, oh, thank you. That's really nice. But really, that's a shitty fucking like anchor that I'm shackling myself with. And I don't even know where it came from. I think it's like when I was first getting into synthesizers. Well, then rip ass, Alice. Spillay ass and let pass that trapped gas. Revolution. But when I used to listen to like those demonstration records, like the ARP demo records, I'm like, oh, that is so cool. They made this all on that one instrument. And I don't know, there's something cool to me. Like if you have one instrument that you're comfortable with it enough that you can make entire songs with it. I'm not saying that it's the only one you should use, but like if you're working on a song and you need some synth parts and you could do it all on one, that's cool to me, because what that does is it gives your sound, it gives your recording character. Because if you record a song with a bunch of different synthesizers, they're gonna, you'll not really pin any one sound on anything. Like, I think it's good when you hear a song and you go, ah, that's a mini Moog, or that's an ARP, or that's a CS80. Like, that's a good thing. It's like being able to identify a Gibson Les Paul when you hear it. You know, it's something in a world where, you know, all synthesizers have oscillators and filters and LFOs. It's good when they can differentiate themselves by their sound. They have enough character on their own. I was listening to Jay Giles' band, Love Stinks. And I'm listening to that organ type, and I'm like, that's a CS80. And I wouldn't have even known it was a CS80 if it wasn't for that noisy ass Panasonic chorus tremolo circuit. And I'm in my car, I'm listening to this, I'm like, that has to be a CS80. And those sound like the organ presets on a CS80. So like you just got the chorus on. Sure enough, you go and you look at the live footage, he's there with a CS80. That means the chorus circuit of the CS80 was enough that I could identify it as a CS80. That's good. It's good when you can identify a specific instrument. The ARP does that in spades. Moog does it, but I think the problem is so many synths can do that four pole ladder filter sound now that you kind of it's hard to pin it on any one. I mean, I've heard an ARP 2600 with the Moog filter do the mini Moog sound. I mean, it's a 3 oscillator mono synth. And the simpler the sound, the easier it is to tell. You know, if it's just 3 saw waves an octave apart, I mean, it could be pretty much anything. But the ARP Odyssey, the ARP oscillators in general have their own just sound. Especially like the 70s ARPs, like the original. Actually, no, the chord one it has it's an ARP Odyssey. It's got the sound. It's a little more stable though. On the topic of stability, yeah, I love it. It's the Rev 2 edition. The Korg. I've wanted an ARP Odyssey. Man, let me tell you something. I have been buying GeForce like plugins since they were sold in stores. I somewhere have the box to Oddity, the original, that I bought at a fucking Guitar Center. Most of the VSTs, the mini Moog. Sorry, I did tell later. Yeah, I don't use it because I've loaned it to my friend in his studio, and it was when I was getting more keyboards and needed more room, and now I don't even have room for the ones I have. So I want to hit that back, but at the same time, he's still using it, and I mean, I got a lot of synths, but the ARP's got that sound. Mooger Fooger, but the thing about them is, didn't you need like at least a few to really get the full experience? Because I mean, maybe I'm thinking of something else. No, I would not. I cannot stand that fucking thing. I'm sorry to shit on your root beer float. That to me is the most like cringeworthy, like Zoomer fucking just. It's like if Apple made a synth. Let's take a synth and make it this big, and fucking have it look like that Casio toy keyboard that every child had in the 90s, the one with the demo button that went do 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 do, and then let's make it like $1,500. It looks like shit. It looks like a toy. It was designed by people who that hip, that generation I just hate now, where everything's just gonna be smaller and smaller and smaller, and more Bluetooth connectivity and its apps. Why? At the end of the day, you're just doing the same banal, samey bullshit as every other jerk off at the fucking Starbucks you're sitting at. Why don't you actually get an instrument with soul that makes you think, that makes you play it instead of fucking programming? I know this is me saying programming, but listen, I would if I could choose between playing and programming, I'd take playing every time. I like programming because you're still playing though. If I didn't have a keyboard on this thing and I just had to like press a button to program the sounds, and that's the only way I could hear it, it was just play one note, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't be interested in synthesizers. I only like them because I'm playing them still and I'm changing the sound. So to me, when you take something like you try to make these little producer things in like pocket size. You just look like an ostentatious fucking fruit faggot, and you should just stop. You're embarrassing us. Me. You're embarrassing me. That's what you are. That's what that makes. I just did. If the fucking thing looks like a calculator. People probably say, oh, Jesus, all right, we get it. You don't like it. You get it, man. Who hurt you? I don't know. That's that boomer part of me. Every time I see something like that, I go, Jill, it's another way for you to not have to play music but still make it. Ah, cool. We don't have enough of those fucking devices around. This is just my anger of years of practicing an instrument and getting zero-where with it, while people who couldn't play a one-line melody with like 20 fingers are getting their cock sucked right now by 30 different people while being showered in billions of dollars. It's like, you know, you get jaded after a while, you know. And there are people who will say, well, man, you know, you're not working hard enough. I'm like, yeah. Well, I know several musicians who work billion times harder than I do, and they're nowhere too. And the thing is, it's because it's who you know. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. It's who you know. You think Justin Bieber sent demo tapes to some? Come on. He sang on YouTube, and Scooter abducted him. Where are you gonna go from there? Poverty? I mean, come on. Let's be honest. And that's where it always starts, too. Singing. I try to not be so negative here. I get the feeling that I used to feel that way too about those devices, and I still kind of do, but it's like the more I play drum lines on keyboards, the less bad I feel about it, because it's like, what? Oh, it's bad if you have pads to do the same thing, but I can do it on keys. Like, all right. But if that's all you do, if you're good at it, fine. But I think it's better when you use that as a part of your set, just to trigger different sounds. But who am I to judge? JDXI, yeah. Roland. While we're in negative land, what is going on with Roland? Why? I mean, why are you guys doing this? Why do you guys make subscription-based VST software? The keys. Yeah, Roland, thank you. Now I can say Roland does suck now. They have lost. They got that Japanese pride thing, and it's going to their fucking dicks. Because Korg, they're pretty in touch with. I'd say they got their thumb on the pulse of what people want these days from them. They're good at it. Yamaha is sort of, but Yamaha is way bigger than just keyboards, so I give them a pass. Roland. What have you done, Roland? You're so stuck in this future-leaning. That's the problem with Roland. Everything has to be as futuristic as possible. They will never do anything analog. The few things that they do that are actually analog are insultingly overpriced. They're meant for you not to buy them. They're meant for, like, if you really want that. These fucks can't even put out just a Jupiter 8. Here's what. All Roland would have to do to make me a fan again would be to put out a Jupiter 8. Sort of like Dave Smith did with the Prophet 5 again. And you know, I used to think, oh, that's impossible. But now, I mean, again, Prophet 5 and 10, the least you fucks could do is a virtual analog version of it. And some people will say, well, what do you call the Jupiter 08 or whatever the fuck version, the Jupiter X? I call the Jupiter X a disappointment because it's some of the Jupiter functions, a bunch of other ones, you know, all the Rompler stuff. It's meant to look like the Jupiter, but it isn't. It's like they've been bastardizing the Juno and Jupiter names since the 2000s, and it's like, guys, please. And now cloud-based software. What worse could you do? Really, I want to know, how much worse could you step in the shit? I mean, maybe maybe like anyone with a Roland product now, they just send out an update that bricks their instruments. That's the only place I could think that would be worse than what they've done. They're so obsessed with the DJ, smaller, twangy little keys. and like in one and digital. They're so obsessed they can't swallow their pride for 10 seconds to even to look at Korg. And Korg's over there like, hey man, analog, yeah, it's old, but it's people want it. It's got good sound. They're like, well, we'd much rather make more romplers in shells that look like our old gear, but more flashy. Fuck clouds. Fuck the base software. Fuck subscription software. Subscribe to my dick. I don't want to. I bought it once. I don't need to buy it again. The fastest way for me to want to never use a person's software is if I have to pay for it every time I want to use the fucking thing. You know how many times I'll do that? Once, and then it goes out the trash. Oh, fuck. We have to keep the servers running. The costs to keep. Why do you have to keep the servers running? So you could use the software. Can I use the software without the fucking servers? It's right here. The files are all right here. The client side. Well, because then we wouldn't be able to get your money every month. You see what I mean? It's a horseshit scam. And anyone who uses, if you're in a position where you are forced to use subscription software for your job, I am sympathetic for you. But if you're in a position where you are forced to use subscription software for your artistic endeavors, just to music, to make music, you should not have to have a fucking a subscription-based service to play keyboards. You shouldn't have to have like the what Roland did with the whatever that green neon piece of shit they got out there. And then I know a lot of people are probably mad at me if they see this stream. I forget what SH they're calling it, but it's green. It looks like the Matrix, and it's like they got that plug out. Hey, this is the synth, sort of, some of it, and then you can get a bunch more of the functionality by hooking it up to your computer with an internet connection, installing Roland Cloud service, and fuck you. You know what I mean? It's like, why can't I just, I bought it. It was $3,000. It's green. Let me use it. Well, you can, but you get the best out of it by downloading all this subscription software and you blow me. Download AIDS directly to your fucking, occipital lobe. Sucks. I hate that. I hate it. You know what? That might even be why I went hardware more. I didn't even realize it. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why hardware to me seems more appealing. Because hardware, it will work until it doesn't. And if it doesn't, you could even try to repair it. You can have someone fix it. But with software, even if the software will work, the OS running it on won't. The VST host you're using, the DAW won't eventually. Shit's going to break. And when it does, you're going to be without something. And I know people will say, well, what, you plan on using the same things for the next 10, 20 years? It's not about that. First of all, maybe. There are some instruments to me that will never get old. But if I bought the fucking thing, you shouldn't have any right to take it away from me later. Why would you? If I buy a toaster, and then 3 years later, the company that made that toaster bursts into my fucking kitchen one morning and smashes the toaster into a million pieces, and then shows me their brand new model and says, you can buy this right now and have a toaster again. You can get out of my house before I open your head up with a shotgun and give me back my fucking toaster. Yeah, that's why I like hardware. This is the instrument I bought. And in 20 years, it will be the same instrument and will still work if I take good care of it. Whereas, can you say the same about any of the plugins any of you use? Yeah. So, yeah, hardware is more expensive, but at least you actually get what you pay for. And it's in front of you and you can touch it and caress it and have, lustful dreams about it and not have to worry about the cocksucking G-men who, at the company to come shut it down or brick it. Can you imagine if these synthesizers had want me to caress your hardware? What kind of hardware you got, man? What do you got? Yeah. Film, man. Cameras and shit, that's something I kind of wanted to get into, but then I stepped up to the edge of it and I said, you know what? I'm already in one of these hobbies. I'm in two. I think I still need to eat too, so I'll just keep my money. Cameras is another one. Here's the problem. Anything like computers, keyboards, guitars, cars. Everybody's going to have that hobby, and it's going to be expensive. But if it makes you happy and it's not hurting anyone else, why wouldn't you? I mean, look at this fucking thing. Look at this thing. It's beautiful. It's fucking beautiful. Look at the wood. It's from Estonia. I think Estonia used to be a communist part like of the Soviet Union at one point, but hey, they made this beautiful wood. When I was a kid, I wanted a Moog Liberation. Like, I saw the music video for Girl You Want by Devo, and they all had the Moog Liberation guitars. And I said, oh, I would kill to have one of those fucking things. So, you know, I'm on eBay in school, in special ed, while everyone else is jacking off in class and picking their nose and shit. And I'm on eBay. I'm like, oh, please. What's just seeing if any. And I realized I'm never going to get a fucking Liberation because those were thousands of dollars. Even when you do find them, and they're rare. But holy shit, man. I remember my mom was bidding on one of those little dinky Yamaha SHS-10s, I think it was. The ones that little key, the basic ass, almost toy guitar. I was obsessed with the concept of a guitar. That is so cool. It's like a guitar, but it's got a keyboard on it. And man, by the time they were ones that you could buy that were affordable or even comparable to what I wanted to do with them, I lost fucking interest. Because the Moog Liberation was his own instrument. It was a synthesizer. It was an analog synth. It probably weighed about as much as an FN FAL, but it was a synthesizer, and you didn't need anything else with it. Most guitars you see, they're still just controllers, though. And I get the idea of that, but a guitar isn't controlling some set of strings off stage. You got it. It's all right there. You see, I like that oneness in an instrument. I don't know. I think there's a word for that. Yeah, even today when you see people with a guitar on stage, even me, as someone who used to want one, I see them on stage and I'm like, you're not fooling anyone, asshole. Just cynical old prick now. I'm just looking at it and I'm like, come on. I don't know if I'm going to be around much longer, guys. I realize my blood sugar is fucking falling. I am starving. I want to play this, but look at me. Look how long it's my OCD just getting the thing set up. My dad made fusilli. Fucking fusilli. Made a nice gravy. I'm Italian. We call it a gravy. Deal with it. The day I call it anything but, the day I call it a tomato sauce is the day I will leave this fucking house. This is that Boston, Massachusetts Italian thing you all have to, that everyone always, oh my God, he's funny. He sounds like Bill Burr. I'm like, oh. Again, I'll take that compliment, but Bill Burr is a fucking comic genius. I'm just this fucking guy. I thought that the TV, and I really have to make a concerted effort to this day to correct myself. Like, I'll say, hey, pass the channel changer. You mean the remote, you fucking idiot? Hey, my parents, they didn't call it a remote, they called it a channel changer. So to me, yeah, it's a channel changer. Yeah, I'm about 20 minutes out of Boston, but close enough that I sound like this. But, yeah, channel changer. I don't call it a washcloth, it's a face cloth. We got other cloths to wash the rest of ourselves with it. This one's small enough, it's just for your face. So yeah, it's not a fucking washcloth, it's a face cloth. And this isn't a tomato sauce, it's a gravy. A red gravy, if you will. But it's too thick to just be considered a sauce. I mean, can we have macaroni? When I hear somebody like a non-Italian say, can I have something like they see a bowl of penne and they go, you got some noodles, some tomato sauce. I want to just like scalding hot coffee, like Soprano style. Like, how dare you call that noodles? What do I look Vietnamese to you, asshole? They go, no, you look Irish, actually. Well, I'm not. I'm really an enigma. That's the problem. I don't look like what I'm supposed to be, and I'm not what I am. It's not what I look like. People think I'm Irish because I have red hair, and I'm the farthest fucking thing from Irish you can imagine. I'm completely Italian American. I don't know no German, no Irish, no French, nothing. Just, there's not a lot of wiggle room with a name like Borsetti. There aren't too many Hans in my family. You know what I mean? But yeah, I've heard that they like get a Roman nose, I guess. Whatever the. It's just that it's an. This is the type of nose cartilage structure unique to northern Italy and Rome. Oh, okay. This other one is wide. This wide nose. You ever see somebody with what I would describe as double-barreled shotgun nostrils? Like those Forrest Whitaker, Bill Evans, fucking like giant, like pig, like zoomed in on a pig nose nostrils, and you can actually like see their brain working up their nostrils. Yeah, I know a few people like that. I feel bad for them. We all have our physical deformities, don't we? Some people have big noses, big ass nostrils. Some people have like bad acne. Like even when they're after puberty, they're like a pizza face. Some people have like, I don't know, fucking big ears. Whatever people are short, people are tall, fat, thin. Oh, obviously people have short cocks or freakishly large ones. People have flat chests, flat asses, bubble butts. We all have our physical deformities. I guess we should just embrace the fucking things. Unless it's some hideous growth. Unless you have like a tumor growing out of the front of your head and you're scaring the children, Go downtown, get that thing cut off. Ain't no clown coming to my kid's birthday party with melanoma. I used to have a school bus driver. You from the Northeast? Of course, yeah. Wait, Northeast USA? New Hampshire. Well, you live in New Hampshire. Wicked pisser kid, dude. Fucking wicked. Not on TV. I hate Hollywood too, man. Fuck Hollywood. I don't want to be. I don't want to trash California too much because we're basically the California of the East over here. We are. I mean, we're not. Granted, we don't have rolling power outages, and well, no, we do. We don't have. Everything isn't on fire. Everything's just covered in snow instead. You fucked no matter. So you're getting fucked somehow. What flavor you want the fuck to be? You want it to be snow and cold and, you see the sun once a day just as it's setting? Or do you want to have a diminishing amount of rights and be on fire every 10 seconds? The only fire I'm interested in is the one that creates smoke that gets me fucked up. Get me fucked up, kid. Shit. Too many wires. Oh my god. I wonder if there's a phobia of wires. There's gotta be. I've seen a list of phobias, the things longer than the fucking Bible. One of them has to be like a phobia of wire or string. I know a girl who had a phobia of cotton balls. She's like, I don't like the way they feel or sound. I'm like, why are you touching cotton balls then? But if anything was cotton, and it wasn't like cotton shirt she didn't mind, but specifically cotton balls. So it was a very oddly situational phobia because there's not a lot of times in a person's life where they're going to be, made to touch cotton balls against their will, unless you got a really interesting kink. But yet, if she had a phobia of cotton balls, she would not touch them. And also, it wasn't just the way they felt; it was the way they felt when you tore them apart. So first of all, you have to touch cotton balls and then tear them apart, and then you get, I don't like the way that. Well, then don't do it. What are you? Who's making you touch cotton balls and then rip them apart? God, what do you want, fucking Maury Povich? Sustain pedal. I think this is the sustain pedal. If not, then we're all gonna die when I turn this on. Well, I'm not gonna turn it on because I need to eat. I need to eat that fucking fusilli with a piece of ciabatta bread. And fucking, Man, I can never get this thing on. Because I have you might have seen, I have a bit of a weird workaround. All these keyboard stands, there's nothing on the bottom of these keyboards that hook them to the stand. For anyone who doesn't know that, it's just you put them on there and you put them in the middle somewhere and hope it doesn't slide around too much. But with this, I have a white piece of wood that because this thing has little feet on it, the Nord that don't attach, so and they just happen to line up right with the bars on this stand, so you gotta put something flat on it to sit it on, and it's redundant, but it works. Once I get this shit all plugged in. But what the fuck? But yeah, at least I know this audio interface sort of works. I mean, I think maybe I'll have to find out a way to, make it so that when I play, other audio, like, an MP3 or something, you guys can hear that coming through the interface instead of it coming through my fucking speakers, because that'll sound really bad and stupid. And it'll be shitty and everyone will not like it. It will be a haircut! Ah, God. This thing now. Headphones. All these wires. All right, everybody. Probably do another stream on Sunday. So if you guys fucking... No, I'll let you know. Probably do another one of these on Sunday. And hang out. Still trying to figure out how to teach synthesis. If any of you have any ideas or requests, definitely let me know. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do music stuff with my life. And then I'm fucking 2.5, 3 hours into this stream that was just a train wreck. And I'm like, nah, I'm going to do stand-up now. Yeah. If I ruined this so bad, I've made a different career choice. No. Maybe I'll do a mixture of both. I'll go on stage with a keyboard and I'll just ramble incoherently in a stream of shit, Reggie Watts does that already. Nah, I guess I'm fucked. Maybe he needs a side gig. Maybe he needs some diversity. He's black. I'll be his white. And we'll just go up there. He has a Nord too. Man, see, the market is saturated after COVID. Well, I wonder if there will be an after COVID with the fucking looks of things. It seems like they're doing everything they can to keep this shit lasting as long as fucking possible. Like, just fucking... God, there has to be something else beyond these four walls. And now this. Fucking... What a pain in my genitalia. I saw a video of Jim Morrison. It was an interview, like an animated accompany video for some interview he gave. And I'll give you all the link because I found it rather entertaining. I've never heard the man talk. Like, I never heard him just have regular conversation. And he has a voice that is, like, soothing, like ASMR type shit. It's weird. Like, I don't know. I really like Jim Morrison's voice. And also, he's a funny guy. It was a video. He's talking about why he doesn't understand why it's wrong to be fat. I mean, his logic is a little flawed, but it's humorous and it's funny to me. And I enjoy him talking about... Like, it's a whole other side of Jim Morrison. People, I think, they picture Jim Morrison as this super moody, perpetually drug addict, fucking just impossible person. Like an island of themselves. He's human, though, still. For Christ's sake. And that's a very human side of Jim Morrison that I very much enjoyed. Definitely an interesting take on... No, he said, because when he died, he was like $150. Like, he wasn't a fat fuck. Like, at his heaviest, he was, well, I'll just link the video because I enjoyed it. I think it was, hold on. Oh my God. All right, folks. I'll talk to you all maybe on Sunday, but let me get that link to you real quick. Where is it? Where is it? And there it is. Yeah, take this link, you all. It's a good link. I enjoyed it. You go watch. That's not it. Why hit copy if it doesn't copy? Here we go. Yeah, right. All right, I'll talk to you fucks on Sunday. Have a nice day.